Matt, I think this is the first time that we'll be showing that you actually have a front end on your car. Look at that. Is that a V6 bumper? Look, I did it. I talked shit, Matt.
It's not a V6 bumper.
Show off the banners too? Dang. We're almost like real race car guys now. For an intro, this is Ty. Ty is with Peak Performance, and he is a Holley dealer and an engine expert and the guy who did all the dyno testing, or what is that thing called again? Spintron testing at VTR to test valve trains up to 10,000 plus RPM. He's a nerd about cam profiles, valve springs, engine internals, all that kind of stuff, and he's here to help us with the Terminator wiring for the homologation between a LT throttle body and a Ford pedal. So you were telling us something pretty neat about this, that like even somebody like Matt could do it, that the wiring is pretty similar, or?
Yeah, so Holley in almost all of their injector or their fuel injection harnesses, they follow a pretty similar color scheme. So no matter what you're working on, whether it's Ford, Dodge, Chevrolet, whatever harness application you have, the colors will generally be all the same for a certain circuit. So for example, on a main harness, a red and white wire is always going to be a switch 12 volt wire. A blue and white wire is always going to be a tax signal wire. A thick green wire is always going to be a fuel pump signal, so on and so forth. So whenever we're dealing with drive-by-wire, the main thing that you need to program into the ECU is what throttle body you're using. Another generalization as for the pedals, pretty well across the board, whether it's GM, Mopar, Ford, even a lot of Nissan pedals and imports and stuff like that, they use the same type of sensor, and that's being a dual inverted 5-volt signal. So it doesn't really matter what pedal you use. You just have to have the right connections and make sure it's pinned correctly. So in this scenario, we're going to use the factory S197 drive-by-wire pedal.
I think we're actually using an S550 drive-by-wire pedal.
So an S550 pedal this is actually an LS Nick Williams throttle body.
And that's some kind of gangster throttle body, isn't it? It looks, that thing's gnarly. 103, right?
Yep.
That's insane.
So Holley has made it very nice that you don't have to actually split the drive-by-wire harnesses. Everything is separated, so you'll have a pedal and you'll have a throttle body harness that's already separate. And all we're going to do is we're going to depin the pedal section away from this and put the Ford section on it. So we'll have a Ford pedal and a GM throttle body. It should operate perfectly fine.
So we were concerned about having like a specialty depinning tool, because I know a lot of stuff requires like, a fancy depinning tool and you can easily break the tabs. Do you need anything special for this?
No, so for these Tyco connectors, which is a pretty common connector for most aftermarket ECUs, Haltech, Holley EFI, you have no tools required. If you want to zoom in on this, you'll notice it's got white clips, little white sections here and on the bottom. And all you're going to do, click.
Oh.
Now this is unlocked, and you should be able to just, for example,
oh, wow.
And you're ready to go.
Yeah, that's way easier than like
there's no special tools for this at all.
Yeah.
And whenever you go to hook it or put the wires back in, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but all of the terminals are kind of up and seated.
Yep.
And for example, this one right here, you want to make sure that it's seated all the way.
Yeah.
And once it is, clips back in place.
Oh.
And it's not coming out anymore.
Dude, that's way easier than I expected. I was scared. That's why we brought you here.
So this is our pedal section. It's the smaller of the two wire bundles on both harnesses. You can see all the colors are the same.
What's the, is that just soldered together ground wires?
So nothing in these harnesses are actually soldered.
Oh.
I don't particularly like solder in anything that's going to move. So vehicle moves, it's going to have vibration. Solder will break. All of these connections in any of these Holley harnesses, they're ultrasonically welded, and then they put a adhesive lined heat shrink over it.
Got it.
So
I solder everything, but I haven't had a failure yet, so we'll see.
Just a personal.
Matt likes twist and tape. Or house wire nuts. No. We got lucky you are a Holley dealer and you had an extra pedal harness and everything, or a throttle body harness. What do people do if they're going to do something like this? Where do they get just the pedal harness? Can they get it?
You can't get just the pedal section. You have to buy the whole drive-by-wire harness
right.
for whatever application you need.
So can they get it at Peak Performance?
You can definitely get that at peakperformanceparts.com.
Awesome.
Just like we did before, we're going to take both connectors and just pop that little white clip there on both of these, and I'm just going to do them one at a time. So we're going to start with the orange wire. So then there should be only, you do it one wire at a time. These come with pre-terminated plugs in there, so you're only going to have one open slot. So you should have only one spot for that wire to go.
Yep.
Feel it click in place, make sure it's seated all the way, and then now we got this monstrosity, and we're just going to keep doing that. One.
I know the wire colors are the same, but are they in the same pin location?
Yes, so the ECU side of everything is going to be completely the same no matter what application you're working with, whether it's a Gen 5, whether it's a Godzilla, whether it's a Coyote, everything is pinned at the ECU the exact same. That makes the ECUs universal, so you have one part number for an ECU, so it just works all the way across the board.
Gotcha. And it's just the tune that changes the ECU, yep.
Correct.
Just splice them all together and we'll put a pedal on the passenger side too.
Yes. Dude, that...
For when man, you're not going fast enough. Whop.
Dude, that would be so much fun to do.
Terrifying.
I would love it.
Now is when you would need the schematics that I brought, and just in case.
We're not even going to let people know that you did it backwards. We're just going to let it look like it was the right way.
Oh, of course.
So this might be another good lesson to look at. If you look at the back of these Tyco connectors, I don't know if you can see it in there,
Oh, yeah,
but there are numbers.
They're labeled.
So it's 1 through whatever the N number is, and that coordinates with your pin locations.
And these diagrams are just on Holly.
Yep. So pin B1, and B is the indicator for the actual connector itself on the ECU, so disregard that. But you're looking at, for pin 1, it's numbered here. So it'd be 1 through whatever number at the end there. So that's 1, and then the next open one is 2. And you read it just like a book. So that pin, just push it into that second open hole.
This second open hole?
Yep. And you'll kind of feel it.
Yep.
Felt it pop in place.
Yep. Okay. And then black. I guess it'd be the last open pin.
You are correct.
Ooh. All right. Now, for sanity's sake, can we compare it to that one? Make sure.
Absolutely can. That's an excellent idea.
Blue, yellow, black, orange. Blue, yellow, black, orange.
So now we have this pedal connector, which is a Ford, with this throttle body connector, which is a GM.
Ooh.
Cool.
That's how all the drag racers do it, because the only way to make a Mustang go fast is to put an LS in it. I will say the only thing that Ford didn't do with this that Chevy does, and I don't know if LT is like that, but the heads aren't interchangeable. And there's like different heads. I think there's different head studs per side too, like placement or whatever. It was just interesting to dig into it, especially in CAD where I have like all the free time to like poke at it and be like, oh, that's crazy. So for the Cadillac, CTS-Vs are kind of notorious for having really bad differentials, and I don't have the money to put a winners in it. One of the blessings that we have is that a Ford 8.8 is honestly one of the strongest stock differentials that exists, and we have 3 IRS diffs, including this one right there. But we also have another diff that we haven't loaded yet. That's just kind of in a spare IRS diff that we have. So realistically, we can have 3 different options, but I'll either run this one, which is loaded with a 513 gear set. I run a 456 in the Mustang right now, and that's a 3rd gear, like all day car. It's a great setup, but the 513s was for like a 4th gear, like 107-ish wheel speed, which is really good for higher speed tracks. And depending on the transmission that we put in the Cadillac, the 513 might actually be perfect for it. So overall, we're going to try it out, I think, or we'll load the other one up. But either way, the Cadillac is getting a Ford 8.8 put in it for the time being, and it should hold. I think it'll do good with the power level that it's at and everything. So I'm going to design some bracketry to put the 8.8 in the Cadillac. I got the Cadillac in CAD already. I had Justin scan it, so I have the scan of this differential, and I'm just going to do some CAD wizardry and make a differential mount. So I'll show briefly what I've done, and then let's see if we can get it made too. So there it is. So the funny thing is we actually switched back to a regular 8.8 diff cover to use this because the clearance is so close. Other companies have made their own diff cover, which are really expensive, but we just made some tube stuff. I mean, this, is all stuff that we have here, and this is some plate 1/4 inch stuff with a tube in it and some bushings. I think it should work out pretty good. We still have pinion angle adjustment with this because the diff bolts up to here, and we can just space it with washers and get our pinion angle correct, but go see if we can slam this thing together and get the diff in the car. that was fast. Well, that was even faster.
Make it do the thing, Scott.
Okay.
Make it
What
do the
thing?
thing.
This thing?
The thing. The thing. Let's look down his throat. Make it say ah. Nice. A little closer.
A couple of headers would pull a premium, dude. You'd be able to start this thing, take it for a trip. Woo.
So,
Nice.
I
Dawson.
did that.